welcome to the Whale's Vagina. We are very pleased to have you join us today. We are live in San Diego. And Billy the Business is already upset with me. You don't have a camera on, so there's nothing you can do about it. I'm Roth Cornet. I am minimally caffeinated, highly punch drunk, and joined by Dan Murrell.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Yep. There's other people.
That's it. No one else is here. Do you guys see other people? Joe Starr.
Hi.
Hello, Eric Goldman.
Hi, I'm gross and sweaty because I just ran here.
Oh, but you have you have a lot of good stuff for us. Danielle.
Hello.
Radford, hello. And S.H.I.E.L.D. joins us as well today. So we will be going.
S.H.I.E.L.D.
God.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
That is an ominous
S.H.I.E.L.D. is in peril.
Chewie, blink if you're okay.
Good
Final
God.
post from Chewie.
I did not know S.H.I.E.L.D. was this close to losing his life, but
Yeah.
we will check in with him and make sure that he is still with us towards the end of the show and whenever I call out to S.H.I.E.L.D. We do want to get started with the first news out of Comic-Con today. Brace yourself. It's about Game of Thrones. Oh, I know. David
But
Benioff.
that show's over, Rob.
I know. We'll never be done talking about it. I have other words for you. They are The Last Jedi. Dan Murrell, how does that make you feel?
I'm not wired. I can walk away at any time.
How does a Snyder cut make you feel?
Damn it. David Benioff and D.B. Weiss are not, in fact, coming to Comic-Con. A lot of us were surprised that they were coming to the panel and very curious to see about what would happen there. Probably not much. They would probably just talk about the show and fans would ask them nice questions. But they are not coming, and they also are not coming is Ian Glenn, Natalie Emanuel, and director and executive producer Miguel Sapochnik. No reason has been given yet for why they will not be in attendance. We can speculate, though. That's what we do on this couch.
Grayscale. They all have grayscale.
Grayscale?
Grayscale.
What if they're all in Fast 9 and they're all busy filming their scenes for Fast 9?
Okay.
That's great. I think that they actually are here, but they're all dressed up as rickshaw drivers.
All right. Dan Murrell.
Stuck in line at the axe throwing activation.
All
I
right.
was very excited to go throw an axe.
Is that not called the Axivation, by the way?
I know, right?
Oh, missed
Missed
opportunity.
opportunity.
Yeah.
David Benioff and D.B. Weiss not coming. Obviously, there's a million different reasons, including scheduling problems that there could have come into play. Maybe their PR rep said, you know what, this may not be the best decision for you. It's possible that HBO said this could be distracting from a panel, that we really just want to be a celebration of the show and talking about maybe a little bit about the prequels, we're not sure. Or credible death threats are always an option, and we don't know if that really happened for them or not. And I'm actually not kidding. And sadly, and I don't mean that as a joke either, because I hope that's not what it is. I truly hope that's not what it is. But you never know out there, because we've come to such a place in fan culture where whether you're disappointed with the show or not, I think sometimes the line that gets crossed is that it becomes personal about the creators versus just being about the show.
I don't think this was, the one thing I will think it wasn't was them thinking, oh, that entire crowd in Hall H will be booing them, because I don't think that was ever going to actually happen.
I don't think so either.
So you know, we don't know if there's anything more specific than that, but I really don't think, as much as people might have not liked the final season, having been to other Comic-Con panels under weird circumstances, like one that jumps to mind is when Dan Harmon was fired from Community, and the two guys who were replacing him had to come here, and everyone's like, oh, they're going to get, you know, so much heat. And it didn't happen because it's a respectful audience. The audience is just really excited to see the people they love usually, and it's not going to be the like, we hate you. So I don't think that was it. There might have been other factors, like you said, maybe the distraction factor. I don't know if they thought that when it went to audience questions, they might get pointed questions. I don't think they were going to get like a room of boos, though. I think there had to be other factors beyond that.
I mean, Hall H screens all those questions. There's
Yes.
no way they're going to get anybody up there that was just going to be like, why did you ruin my life? I'd agree with you on the. I agree with you on the respectful. For one thing, yeah, I think respectful crowd that's going to be there to just sort of like celebrate the actors and people. But also, that line wears you out. If anyone is in the Hall H line, prepared to be like, okay, when I get in there, ooh, I'm gonna let D&D have it. By the end of that line, they're like,
They're so tired.
I want nap before rage.
Yeah. Wait, I think Joe's proposing something here, and let me make sure I'm
Cots?
correct here.
Hey, sharks.
Are you just proposing that we make the world queue for a really long time, and that by the end of queuing, if they get something kind of nice, we will end all conflict? I think that's what you just said.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Dan Murrell?
I will posit another potential possibility, which is that, after spending 8 years on the show, and then it comes out and just being run through the ringer, and then like even Miguel Sapochnik, who directed the Battle of Winterfell, and like the longest night shoot of all time, and then they release it, and people are just like, I can't see it. Maybe they're just like, you know what? Screw you.
Also fair.
Yeah.
It's a long drive. It's
Yeah.
a pain in the ass.
It is.
It's a lot of walking.
Why would I do
walking.
it? Why
Yeah.
do it? You know
Yeah.
what? I'm not doing it.
You don't want to see me. Well, I don't want to see you either.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know.
Yeah.
I almost kind of wish they said no. They couldn't make it, but they sent a special video to them just flipping off the
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just like the idea that it's like, you broke up with me. I broke up with you.
I understand the last season was far from perfect, but there was never any a place where there was like a benefit of the doubt situation going on. It was literally just like, you made the best show of all time to, you ruined my life. Like literally 180 like that. Maybe they were just like, you know what? Fine.
Yeah.
We won't go.
Also available on YouTube right now is the Game of Thrones Honest trailer. Do check it out.
They ruined our
Chewie.
lives. Chewie, what do you think?
Yeah.
It doesn't get better. Doesn't get better.
He
Get
looks
better.
more morose.
Yeah.
Actually, I see his expression changing.
At some point during the weekend, I do promise that Chewie will speak back to us, and that is a real promise that we will fulfill right here on Fandom Entertainment, where you should hit the bell, but we'll get into that
Will
later.
they be able to hear it, or is this like just you're done?
I can hear it right now. Can you guys not?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna
I'm
be
not
like the
quite
Star Wars
there.
holiday special where it's just Wookiees talking for like 10 minutes, and everybody's like, I don't understand what's going on.
That's usually how we are
Yeah.
by the end of the week anyway. Yeah.
I have a second news story. Do you want to hear it? Guess what it's about?
You heard about this?
Did you hear about this, Joe? It's about Game of Thrones. So the Emmys have come out. The Emmy nominations have come out. By the way, congratulations to Honest Trailers.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah. Game of Thrones performers Alfie Allen, Theon Greyjoy, Gwendolyn Christie, Brienne of Tarth, and Carice Van Houten, Melisandre. No, that's not who plays Melisandre. Oh yeah, it is. Sorry.
It is.
That's all on me. Tuesday morning
I mean, the
received
Lord of Light
the
plays
Lord of
Melisandre
Light.
through her.
Yeah,
Yes.
We're
exactly.
gonna get theological about it.
I do. Thank you. So they received Emmy nominations, but they actually were not submitted for Emmy nominations by HBO. They submitted themselves, which, to be clear, is not totally unheard of. And HBO probably was submitting the people that they thought they had the best chance with. And now that they have received nominations, HBO will fully back them in a campaign. So there's no bad blood or anything of the sort. But what do we think in general of those nominees?
They were good. I mean,
Yeah.
I that's the thing of just like that frustrates me a little bit with the reaction to this last season, which is that in acknowledging the storytelling shortcomings, everyone seems to have thrown everything out about the show,
Yeah.
like just
Yeah.
throw the baby and the bathwater out, and overlooking the fact that it was still stunningly well done on a technical level, and I think there was no performance this season that I thought was anything less than what had been given in every other season of the
Gwendolyn
show.
Christie was really great this season.
Yeah, I'm actually very surprised that the network would not have pushed her themselves as a nominee, because she did a lot of emotional heavy lifting
Yeah.
this season.
I think almost everyone's favorite emotional moment from the second episode
Yeah,
was
Jamie.
her.
Yeah.
It was all
Yeah,
about-
Being
I mean, she
knighted,
had her
yeah.
own episode.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Literally, the second episode
Yeah.
was a night of the Seven Kingdoms, and it was about her. And
Yeah.
and so that's kind of surprising that they would not have pushed her anyway.
It's a big cast. You have to imagine there's some level of politics in terms of with the agents and negotiations and who were really the stars of the show for all of those years. It's like very complicated for them in terms of who they're going to submit. So I'm happy to see them get acknowledged, and I think it's
Yeah.
well deserved.
I'm glad to see Alfie Allen nominated too, even though it's on one hand, yes, this season, it's not like he had his best stuff in this season. And some of it is kind of, I think, that acknowledgement, like the show's over. It's time, this is now or never. And I thought that, because Theon had one of the best arcs on the show, and he had a lot of great moments, and he still had some really nice moments, like him and Sansa, just sort of emotional stuff this season. So I thought that was great. Also, incidentally, by the way, I thought it was really funny that a lot of people apparently did not know that Lily Allen's song Alfie
Yeah, it's about
him.
Yeah, and about how
her
he
hothead
ain't
brother who does nothing.
Like the
who
whole
now
song is about how
Emmy.
much he sucks.
right.
I feel like he hasn't left my. Do you guys watch Harlots on Hulu? Is
I
that?
watched season 1 of
Yeah.
Harlots on Hulu.
Well, season 3 is currently upon us of Harlots. I think it's season 3 of Harlots. If you guys don't watch it, Alfie Allen is on this season, and he is quite the heel, but very nice guy in reality. He's more than a cad. He's a heel.
a
Look, we
scallywag?
wanted John Wick to kill him.
skip-scotch?
He usually is introduced as a pretty horrible guy in Game of Thrones. We got to get some redemption.
Yeah,
I
a
guess he
little
wasn't
bit.
introduced in Game of Thrones as a bad guy, but.
Well, he was not introduced as the Theon that was like the really bad Theon that we knew, but he was always a little bit of a brat.
Yeah.
Here's what Joseph Campbell would call a turncoat.
Yeah.
Though they added, it wasn't in the book, I don't think. They actually kind of tried to make it a little more sympathetic when he wrote the note to Rob, but then he didn't send it. I
Yeah.
don't think in the book he even writes the note.
Yeah.
So they were trying to be like, he wants to. No.
Yeah, but he doesn't. Danielle, who would you like to see nominated from Game of Thrones?
I thought that these were all great choices. I do agree that if it were to go to Alfie, it would be more of a greatest hits from over the full season. But I mean, is there anyone left from Game of Thrones who wasn't nominated? I can't. They've all been nominated. So.
Chewie, can we fact check that?
I think
I
the.
know.
Oh,
Oh no!
There's just a lot of existential stuff going on
Yeah,
here.
I don't even know. It's
We
like
all got
whole,
a Joker over our shoulder, guys.
Yep.
Get closer and
Yep.
whole
closer.
narrative.
I think the good lesson to take away from them submitting their own nominations is no one's gonna champion you as like yourself.
Yep.
Like you gotta stick up for yourself. You gotta show up for yourself, and
Yep. Believe in yourselves, kids.
That's actually
Everybody.
deep, Joe.
Yeah. Nominate
fair.
yourself for an Emmy, even if you weren't in anything this year.
That's
If
true.
you're
He's
not a writer,
right.
Their
you gotta
reps
show up
to-
for
You
yourself.
got to show up for yourself.
Their
Yeah.
reps deserve a raise too
That-
for,
Yeah.
for backing that.
Somebody give him a clap.
and pushing it.
Yeah.
They deserve to give
Oh, yeah.
their representation was right to say
Yeah.
we're gonna do
Give a
that.
shot, yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
that's something that's a great thing on your resume. Any
Oh,
nomination, come on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, deep thoughts with Joe Starr. Moving on, we are going to talk. Well, really quickly. We should say that for people who are at Comic-Con or looking forward to the panels, there are some notable Game of Thrones stars that will be there. Maisie Williams, obviously, who is Arya. Nikolai Coster-Waldau, who's Jaime. Isaac Hempston-Wright, who I saw last night getting a autograph. He was giving an autograph to someone, and he looked exactly like a smaller John Oliver. That's exactly what he looked like. Yeah, yeah.
So
Okay.
when they do the sequel series, John Oliver will play adult Bran.
He will play both adult Harry Potter and adult Bran, and it'll be like a really great crossover event
I like
for
it.
all of us in the world. Joe Starr, what should the people do with the bell?
They should smash it as hard as they can.
Ryan's makeshift bell. We forgot to bring the bell from the studio. You
That
guys.
was your mouth making noises.
The least bell-like sound I can imagine.
Belle is so sad back home.
Smash that Fandom Entertainment. Thank you. Uh-oh. Oh, what
So just
happened?
announced that the Terminator James Cameron came out and Eddie Furlong is back for Terminator.
I think he's playing.
She's gonna blow
Oh
away!
my God, that's insane. That's
Easy money, guys.
legitimately
Easy
insane. So
money.
he's playing adult John Connor.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, you guys didn't hear him. Billy said that James Cameron's on the Terminator panel right now, and that Eddie Furlong, who, anyway, that's a whole other story.
First he said James Cameron
There's like-
came out, and then there was a pause, and I was
Yeah.
like,
who, I feel like there's a whole documentary there. But the point is this: he's back as adult John Connor.
As John Connor, I'm
Yeah.
not
Wow.
sure if this will be CGI de-aging or if it'll be an older John Connor, but Eddie Furlong is.
Eddie
Wow.
Here's how odd this is. Roth knows apparently everyone who's in town because I was asking I was like, oh, is Arnold here for the Terminator fan? And Roth was like, yeah. I'm like, oh, I wonder if Philip Hamilton's here. She's like, oh, she's here. I'm like, oh, okay. Like Roth has
saw him
spies
next
at
door.
the airport.
Yeah.
And I was going to jokingly ask if Edward Furlong was here.
We
Because
did
like,
not
he's the
know
one
that.
you would think like of everybody
Yeah.
would probably not be the one that might come back.
Yeah.
But
he's here.
apparently.
Well, no.
I
Did he
did
come
not
out on the
know that.
panel?
He's not here. James Cameron announced he's
He's in the
here.
movie.
in the
Okay, so
movie.
he's not actually physically here at Comic-Con. He's going to be
Still.
in the movie.
I'm guessing he will have a small role.
Yeah.
But obviously the whole idea is like the gang is back from season
Yeah.
is it gonna have his dirt bike?
Notably, yes.
Hopefully.
I mean,
Same
how
with
else
the
would he
Public
get
Enemy
around?
T-shirt.
Yeah. It's not my mother,
I am
Todd.
His Guns N' Roses
legitimately,
back.
I am legitimately psyched. I am a massive Terminator
Have
and
they-
T2
Oh, yeah.
fan. I am so happy to see her back. I'm waxing philosophical. No, I'm waxing poetic. No, I'm just excited. What's going on?
I was gonna ask if they've announced if Budnick was gonna.
Yeah,
Budnick back.
No confirmed.
No
Bobby
confirmed.
no
Bobby
confirmed Bobby
Budnick.
Budnick.
Nailed it.
Linda Hamilton
salute
is
those
back.
shorts later.
Arnold is back. Eddie Furlong is back. Is it going to be great? Oh God, please be great.
It's gonna be dark.
Please be great.
It's gonna be a very dark
Please
fate.
It's gonna be whatever it's fated to be.
It's dark fate. I know.
No fate, but what we remake.
You
How
guys,
many robots will give thumbs up? You know that's all I need from this movie. How many robots give thumbs
I
up?
think
Like a
that's
chorus
the new
line of them.
Terminator thing is like they've learned from Arnold, and so like it's a robot army of endoskeletons all doing
What
this,
if it-
marching forward.
I
Ends
would
in a
literally
thumb war.
cry.
What if it ends in a thumb war?
and that's how we settle it.
Ooh.
That's how we settle it.
The T4000 has a more powerful thumb than I could ever have.
In any event,
And
Terminator Dark Fate. I'm excited about it, but I've been burned before. I will tell you.
Oh, I bought James Cameron's lines about Genesis.
Me
hook,
too.
line,
Oh,
and
yeah.
sinker.
So did I.
So I have to not get excited.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
I did too, and I was really excited about it. And after the screening, I got an email from someone at Paramount going, "Are you okay?" But I wasn't, and I'm still not.
I gotta check in. Like, I generally don't use the restroom during a movie if I can help it, but about an hour into Terminator Genesis, I realized it'd be okay if I did. And so I did, and I ran into, I don't think he'll mind me saying, I ran into Mark Ellis, who was also using the restroom, and like we were both washing our hands at the same time, and he just kind of like turns to me and he goes, "How you doing?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe this one will be good. That's all happening right now. So excited to see that. You know, there are other movies happening in the world too. Did you know that, Danielle?
I've heard about movies.
Yeah. It Chapter 2 comes out on 9/6/2019, and the final trailer was released today. We did watch it. I thought it was scary, and you witnessed Danielle and I watching this.
Yeah, you're fun to watch spooky things with because you're a shouter.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a shouter. I think this one looks really fun. The mirror sequence was cool. I'm really excited about Hader. I'm really excited about Jessica
You called
Chastain.
that, by the way.
Do
you remember?
I think I did.
Yeah, I
it was
think
like
you
Yeah,
we did.
Yeah.
we made two bold predictions. I think I cast Hader and Spencer cast Jared Kushner as Pennywise, which I think also accurate.
Also, that did happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's also there. A lot more range than Kushner is usually able to show on camera, but really good.
He's so moist.
Yeah.
He is. He just looks moist. You know, like moist evil.
Does this remind you of Jumanji, by the way, when they do these transitions?
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to play.
I can't believe he looks
Where's the
great.
clown?
Joe called it. Hashtag Joe called it.
But it looks fun. I think I was on the boat of not loving the first one.
Wait, you didn't like it?
I still love that joke though, where you can just it could be it was like a 5 or a 6 for me on the 1 to 10.
Oh, wow. That's,
Yeah, I was the one weird lone hold. I was the one
That's
holdout.
That's okay.
In the cast.
Sure.
Is it? I can like it.
You cannot
you
like
like
it.
it.
You
cannot
cannot
like
You
like
don't
it.
have to like it, Joe.
You
guys
don't
are
have
the
to
best.
like it.
Stop
You
it.
can have your own
Turns
thoughts.
out you're allowed to have dissenting opinions on the
Yeah.
internet.
Hey, this did not have nearly enough turtle god.
I agree.
Yeah.
One thing was missing, and that was a turtle.
Yeah, definitely the turtle. Although, Eric, you saw a little more. Did they show you a turtle?
They did not. If there was
It's
a
the ritual
turtle,
of
it was
Chew
an
happening.
Easter egg I didn't spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it, What's his name, Mazarin?
What's
I
the
forget
turtle's
now.
name, Chewie? In it?
I read,
Better.
I read the
His
book
ritual
and
is chewed.
Maturin? I think it's Maturin.
Maturin.
Oh, that sounds
Maturin.
right. That
That's the
sounds
turtle's
right.
name, yeah.
The ritual is Chud.
Chud?
Yes.
Yeah.
Chud or chewed.
Chud.
Depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a regional thing. The East Coasters call it chewed.
Yeah.
Southerners call it chud.
In Seattle, we call it pop.
I like they looked like there was a mix of like there's some things like the fun house and stuff that are not from the book.
Yeah.
But then there's some other things. You catch some glimpses of stuff like
Oh,
the
nope.
sewer, the sewer being flooded. That could potentially be something from the book about a character named Adrian Mellon, who is sort of the first resurgence of it coming back 27 years later. And it looks like they may also be tying in this thing. The book tied in the fact that like there's a catastrophic flood and like catastrophic weather every time that it comes back, Pennywise comes back. So. And then I caught what I thought was a glimpse of Henry Bowers, who's the bully from the first movie,
Yeah.
and is locked up in a crazy, in an insane asylum in this part 2. It looked like they might be folding that storyline in. That comes into play as Pennywise returns. So it looked like a good mix of new stuff and old stuff, which
Yeah.
I'm fine with because I think that the second part, the adult part, could use a little massaging.
Yeah. It was
yeah.
definitely the harder translation.
It's
Yeah.
always the part I forget is also a part of the story. Like you're like, oh yeah, I forgot the grown-up
Because
stuff.
the kids is so great.
I mean, when I remember doing like a set visit for the first movie, and Andy Maschuti, am I saying his last name right? I don't know, but he said flat out that like the kids stuff interested him more, which is interesting when you're making the sequel about the adults because you have to obviously make it interesting for yourself.
Yeah.
So I liked seeing that there's added stuff too because it is the stuff that I think. I mean, I don't even know on page count wise, but I think it probably is more stuff with the kids anyway, and it just more happens with the kids. So I think adding some of those set pieces like the Funhouse is a good idea for this.
Danielle, there were a number of moments when we were watching the trailer that you and I rejected it and said no and
Yep.
get back in your computer screen because no. But the number one for me was deconstructed Pennywise
No,
at the end.
thank you.
Like
Oh my
I do
God.
not want to see that was like
Loved
the
it.
John Wayne Gacy like image where he's in half clown makeup and just half murder. And I want no deconstructed
And
Pennywise.
he's doing that eye thing that he can do.
Yeah.
They talked about that last night. You know, he just does that. They don't need to do an effect.
That's
Skarsgård can just make his
insane.
eyes
I
separate.
used to be able to do that.
Scary to me
Stop
than normal
it. He
He
Pennywise.
saves him a lot
Oh
of
my
money.
god.
Yeah, because he also does that weird lip thing, which he
Yeah.
can just do.
Yeah.
Apparently, his whole face is a playground. He can just do whatever he wants to do with his face.
Some people interpret that differently.
Let's see that again, JT.
Oh no, boy.
Yes.
Look, me and Dan have told y'all about clowns.
That's true. I've been on the
looks like-
forefront of the clown early warning system from the beginning. And
It looks
nobody
like he's
listens
talking
to
like
me.
a
It
fish.
does. That's what I was thinking. It was like this is the like evil Finding Dory sequel that none of us ever wanted,
No.
but now we do.
I will also say, I think down to the table settings, the Chinese restaurant looks exactly the same as the TV movie.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure they leaned into
Why
that pretty
improve
heavily
on
purpose.
perfection?
Yeah, true. That
'Cause
was
that
a very 80s Chinese
It was
restaurant.
such a and it seems like every Chinese restaurant is dressed the same as it was in 1985. Like in a small town, it's
Yeah.
like decor in Chinese restaurants stopped at around 1987.
Yep.
And
Then you didn't
that's
need
how
to-
they're gonna. You didn't again. Why improve on perfection?
Yeah, yeah. China
So-
One Buffet in Bowling Green, Kentucky does not
Yeah.
need to change.
Who named
Look, let-
Chinese Pavilion in North Little Rock, Arkansas has not changed in 20
Let the
years.
food speak for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they showed us. I went to the Scare Diego thing last night that Warner Brothers has been doing for a few years. You know, they're not officially paneling, but they had a full It panel last night. It just wasn't considered a Comic-Con panel with all 7 of the adult losers and the director. And they
Oh,
showed
that's
us.
mean.
Huh? I mean, there. You know, the people there.
They're
just
winners in our book.
Yeah, they're successful actors.
They're all losers. Hater, you're a loser. I love you. No, they showed us 3 scenes, and they were long scenes too. I actually felt like everything I saw looked really good, and I also felt they feel confident because they were showing us such long sequences from the movie. And then one of them was the Chinese restaurant. They showed not the entire thing, but they showed a lot of it, and kind of their reunion, and them talking about their memories and what they remember, what they don't. And then they showed us more of the Funhouse scene, which looked really cool. And then they showed us the gang back at the Neibolt house. And they don't want us to say too specifics on the scenes. I'll just say that there's a very cool John Carpenter nod that they
Nice.
talked about. Like, yes, if you think that's a John Carpenter nod, it's very, very intentional.
Tiptoeing around people that don't know the second half, because I could not tell from the trailer, and you don't have to answer this if you
Yeah.
think it's too spoilery. The reunion scene, was everyone present at the reunion scene?
Yeah, I know what you're asking.
Yeah.
I feel like they showed us the scene. It's so early in the book. Maybe someone's late. Maybe.
Okay. Gotcha.
maybe,
Yeah,
maybe
I was
someone's-
curious because
yeah.
I could see that you can make
Yeah.
some changes to the source material, and I wonder if that may be a change of just characterization and how the sequence of events from
Yeah.
the second part. Yeah. Okay.
But also, of course, because the kids are still in this movie in small capacity, and we saw a little bit of some of it's direct flashbacks. There's definitely some times where they're showing you stuff, but then there's also some new scenes, and there's some in other ways they figured out to have the kids peppered in throughout. So it looks really good to me, though. I was very impressed by the stuff they showed. I mean, we were with a very enthusiastic crowd of It fans, but everything was extremely well received.
It fans meaning the movie that came out, or just the
I think
book,
the movie. I think it was
combination?
people that were super psyched about this sequel based
Okay.
on the crowd. And guess what? Bill Hader really funny on a panel. Really.
That's
Shocking.
awesome.
Yeah.
I did not see that one coming.
There were so many F-bombs, by the way. I just have to say, between the footage they showed and Conan O'Brien was moderating, and he felt free. He was Conan and Bill Hader and James McAvoy. It was like there was almost should have been a counter for how many F-bombs. there were.
McAvoy has a filthy mouth.
Yeah.
Have you?
Filthy.
He really
Beautiful.
does. It's filthy gorgeous.
Oh, and my last
You're so
thing,
right.
my last thing I'll throw out because I thought it was pretty fun was they talked about how Jessica Chastain at one point in the movie was to be covered in blood up to her collarbone, but she said, "Just go 100%. I want to go do Carrie on steroids." And so she
Respect.
is completely. And she said it was cool and rad, and I loved her for it.
That's very cool.
That's
That would also
awesome.
look weird if it just stopped.
right.
Yeah.
Was she wearing like a helmet?
Decorative blood.
Great. So we're all, other than Joe who hates it, I think we're all very excited for this sequel.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm mad at the idea of it
Yeah.
even coming out.
Do you want to start a petition?
I might.
Should we do a petition?
I might. I want
Yeah.
to remake The Last Pennywise.
Okay, remake it. All right, and Danielle Radford,
Yes.
Jay and Silent Bob.
Yes.
Yes, this is also a trailer that came out today. We have the sequel to Jay and Silent Bob, long awaited.
By many.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah. It's if you haven't seen it, it's a remix of all of the other kind of things you've already seen. It is a not safe for work trailer at all. So maybe watch that in the bathroom on your phone during a break or something. If you
Poopin'?
really like Kevin,
Well, if you were,
You didn't wanna
you
multitask.
want to
You
it's
can
like 2 or 3
multitask.
minute trailer, so I just figure,
oh, pooping?
yeah.
Oh yeah, pooping.
I've only saw
a
the
pooping
trailer
trailer?
once, and I didn't get a great look. Was that Val Kilmer as Blunt Man there?
What?
Go back to when Blunt Man takes off his mask there. Maybe I'm crazy.
It could have
Hang
been.
on.
Oh,
That is Val
okay.
Kilmer.
That is
Ladies
He
and
played
gentlemen.
Iceman.
Yes.
That's why they did that.
And yes, because he was Iceman in Top Gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just saw that
Oh, that's
as it
awesome.
went by. I was like,
Nice
that looks
spot.
like Val Kilmer.
All right, interest just went up a few
Nice.
notches because
There are a lot of
Yes, it is
celebrity.
Kilmer. Thank you, Ron.
Well
Kilmer doing
done.
comedy
Thank you.
is. I hope he's in it for more than a few scenes because Kilmer is a funny
Oh
dude.
man,
Yeah.
MacGruber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like the kind of movie though where most people pop in and say hi.
Yeah, I
and
think
then
most
leave.
people were.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of
Although
Yeah.
Matt
Yeah.
Damon as his dogma
And
character
Matt's
is
back.
nice.
And we got
They
Affleck.
even got Batfleck.
Okay, so this is my first time seeing the trailer. I was running around in the heat, but that's awesome that Affleck's back. Because did everyone see that tweet yesterday? That
Yes.
when he responded to Kevin Smith on Twitter, because they famously, Kevin Smith talking about everything very openly, they had a falling out. They were not speaking for quite a while, and it made me feel so good to see Ben Affleck tweet Snoochie Boochies to Kevin Smith,
Aw.
and I thought he's got to be in this Jay and Silent Bob movie, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I'm glad the trailer confirms that he is in it. Yeah.
When it came out, I loved the lion face, lemon face, like applesauce bitch moment in Jay and Silent Bob. There were I liked that they went after their internet trolls, although that now has got a whole other triple meanings. But it's weird. This trailer to me felt very out of time.
Yes.
It was completely not updated
No.
to now.
Kevin Smith is, if you look at his filmography over the last 5 to 7 years, he's making the movies that he wants to make.
Yeah.
I don't think he has any interest in updating Jay and Silent Bob. I think he wanted to go make another one, just like the ones that he used to make. Just like if you look at Yoga Hosers, it was very obvious he wanted to make a fun movie starring his daughter and her friend. And that's exactly what he made. He can work on a scale, and he's achieved the amount of success that he's going to make the movie he wants to make. And I think that's obviously what he wanted to do. Jay and Silent Bob was just go back 20 years
Get his friends together.
and
Yeah.
do it again.
And I'm sure, it's like, yes, I'm sure that they will acknowledge, first of all, we see there's visual nods to Batman vs. Superman and Captain Marvel and stuff like that. And yeah, like talking about the internet trolls, okay, it's like Twitter now. Like, I'm sure that there will be stuff about that. But I think stylistically, yeah, he's making what he wants to make, and it's what he's comfortable with. And there is something comfort food about it. Like when you're like, "Are we excited about a new Jay and Silent Bob movie?" It's not like I was like, "We must get a new Jay and Silent Bob movie." At the other point, now it's such a
That's not what
nostalgia.
you've been saying to me for the
That's
last
true.
couple of
That's
years.
true. Just constant texting. But no, there's something also just sort of now they're so nostalgic. So now it's like, oh, Jay and Silent Bob. Like I said, the Affleck tweet. I was like, Affleck and Kevin Smith, they used to work together all the time. And now, obviously things changed a lot for Affleck, but there's something very nostalgic now about seeing Ben Affleck pop up in a Kevin Smith trailer.
Jason Lee wore the shirt, stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how much, because there are a few jokes in here where I'm like, I don't know how that's going to play in 2019. So I'm interested to see how much of that is also in the trailer, because it is very specific to his sense of humor and his fans, and he is making the movie that will make him laugh. But there are a couple of moments where I'm like, I'm really interested to see how this plays to people.
Yeah. I hope it does update. I mean, we only saw trailers, 2 minutes of the entire movie. Like, I hope it reflects on the fact that these characters are still in the same place they were 20 years ago, and okay.
Seems like it will a little bit.
A little
with the
bit,
dad
yeah.
thing
With the dad
and-
thing,
Yeah. Always finding out that you're a dad is a good inciting incident into adulthood
Speaking of
for a
weird news, you
42-year-old
guys.
man. Yeah. All right, good. You know what else we have to talk about today? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's done.
Well,
Yeah.
they have another year, but it will be done.
It's done.
Coulson looks so cool right there. Look at him swagging.
He does.
After all this time. It's done. Yeah, it's getting after the season, the series is over. Two thoughts. One is like it's a little good for them that they lasted this long.
7 years, yeah, it's a
7
hell of a
years is a
run.
good amount of time for any television show, and this one certainly had its struggles. And then the second thing is obviously with Disney Plus coming, they're probably making some obviously Disney still owns ABC, and it's not that they wouldn't want to do that, but I think they're maybe making some investment decisions in terms of how they use the MCU in particular on television and where they use the MCU on television. And clearly there's the Loki show, there's the Scarlet Witch Vision show, there's Falcon and the Snowman.
I mean,
Yes.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is interesting because
If you're old, you know what that means.
the Falcon and the Iceman. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. always had the most connection to the movies because it literally starred a character who came
Yeah.
from the movies. But at the same time, 7 years. So season 6 is airing right now.
I mean, these ones have the most connection to the movies
for sure,
now.
by far.
By far.
But so season 6 is airing right now, and season 7 will air a year from now in the summer. But yeah, it's look. I mean, the show, creatively, it was season 1 was weird because that whole Winter Soldier thing happening 2/3 through. But I think the show really kind of found itself after that.
Yeah.
And
that was the best thing that happened to
it
that
was
show.
definitely the best thing that happened to them because it really forced them to be like, okay, if we have to blow up the show, how do we do that? And I think after that they got weirder and more creative and more fun. But yeah, 7 seasons, most of which until these last 2 were 22 episodes. It's more and more of an outlier in this day and age that there's even going to be that many episodes of it. So it's pretty impressive.
Did you guys watch S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm behind. I'm literally a season and a half behind. I didn't see anything of the previous season, and I've got recorded all of this current season is still backed up. I'm so far behind. But I mean, it's always felt to me like a show that in search of itself in the sense of like it would reboot every 13 episodes or so, but this 13 was about this 13 was about this, this 13 was about this, and they're just trying to find like what's the through line. And I agree they're getting better at it as they went along, but it always felt like a bit of a weird fit. I feel like the show was sort of sold on a false premise that they didn't even fully understand, of the idea of like, you're the companion show to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like great. And then, as you said, the bigger ideas took over, and then like, but by the way, the premise of your show doesn't exist after the first season. They're like, oh, and then it's just been trying to catch up. But I mean, there's been things that I liked. I haven't seen. I think that there was another storyline, but the first Ghost Rider storyline that they did, I enjoyed that. I thought that they did some interesting work with the Inhumans. That I don't know who's edict it was that they had to do in Humans, that they had to set up stuff for the movie or whatever, but it's had pockets for me where I'm like, wow, they're really hitting on all cylinders. And then there's always been these weird, awkward transitional times too, where they're trying to like shape the show into what it's going to be for a while, and then it'll kind of click again.
I think it's really hard when you have a show like that where just completely independent of you, everything, like you mentioned with what happened with when they blew up S.H.I.E.L.D., but they were also, aside just from chasing what they're doing, they're also chasing what's happening in the MCU at that moment, and they're not in those meetings. And so you can plan out a season, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, by the way, you have to start slipping in some Thanos stuff. Oh, by the way, which they did. Oh, by the way, you have to start slipping in some of this stuff. And it's like, okay, so there are other people. It's essentially like, you know, if we talk about how Marvel has felt like it was a show and you have showrunners, this is one where, you know, they don't even get to have meetings with the showrunners until everything is done, but they still have to make 7 seasons of TV work. It's almost an impossible task.
Yeah, I actually kind of admired the, it's very true that they would kind of like almost have these soft reboots a lot. Sometimes it was even half seasons when they were doing 22 episodes, but they were having like in kind of splitting it in half. But I actually thought that was really fun. Like they were like, okay, now we're gonna do this. We're gonna go to space, or we're gonna do this.
It felt like a
Ghost Rider.
comic almost in a lot
Yeah,
of
it felt like
Yeah.
comic, and of course some storylines are more successful than others, you know.
Yeah.
But I did like that they were trying that. And I have to also, by the way, say there was an episode in season 3, and I forget the name because it was a number. It was the number of hours that Simmons was stuck on this planet. And
Yes.
it was a very
I
unusual
remember that,
episode,
yeah.
and it was great. It was like
Yeah.
actual like it was like great television as
Yeah.
far as like you didn't even have to know the show to watch this episode that was basically like a girl stuck on this alien
Yeah.
planet by
Yeah.
herself.
And I
Yeah,
felt
yeah.
like every
That
time
one
that
was
they
great.
had those runs of episodes, there would always be 3 or 4 inside every run that was really, really great.
Yeah.
And then it was always just about like, how strong is the surrounding material around it? And I think that may be why I fell off viewing a little bit, was like, I definitely want to go back and watch it, but it was never so much that it's just like appointment viewing, because it was a little hit or miss, but never completely miss.
Yeah.
You know, if that makes sense.
It's hard to make 22 good hours. It's hard to make
Yeah.
1 good hour of anything. It's hard to make good 5 minutes. Look at us. I mean, we've maybe nailed 2 minutes of these 45.
At least 30 seconds of this is solid.
So like it's just that is really, really difficult to do. So for 22 episodes of a television season to be good, when we see these great seasons of television right now, they're usually shorter seasons.
Yeah.
Typically they're 8 to 10, at the maximum 13.
Yeah.
You had
I feel
things.
like they
Joe,
got it.
stuff.
Yeah, I feel like they got it. Well, first I weirdly want to preface this because I feel like anytime I talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on our show, I always say that like I really like it, but I think they got a raw deal from Marvel, and then everyone immediately goes, "How dare you say mean things about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?" And I'm like, I didn't. I like it. But I do think this show really got a raw deal from Feige and the movie side, because in the early days of the MCU and Avengers and everything dropping, we were, as an audience and as a fan base, we were really sold a bill of goods that it was like, these shorts matter, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. matters, and you could tell that had been a decision on the movie end where they were like,
Oh, notably there was. I mean,
Yeah,
the-
like-
Well,
there
and
was a
then
pretty
let's
clear.
Be frank, that
Yeah.
the
Vision.
split
The
that happened
between-
a couple years into the show, then
Yeah.
that was a huge
yeah,
deal.
especially. But I do think because those expectations weren't met, I think the show suffered adversely because of that. Just because it wasn't able to meet a mandate that was sort of like put on it, because companion to the MCU has to go both ways a little bit. Otherwise you get just the worst case episodes of where they're literally like brooming up a museum after Thor Ragnarok, like, oh,
Right.
Thor sure did knock this debris over, and like that's so frustrating. Like it needs to go the other way. Like when the helicarrier shows up and Nick Fury in Ultron, and Nick Fury's like, I made a few calls, like. Why did you not call friends at Agents
Well, it's
of
funny
S.H.I.E.L.D.?
because they did on
They
S.H.I.E.L.D.
had a
They said
very-
that Coulson is responsible for getting them.
No,
that
I know.
helicarrier, but why wasn't he there?
Yeah,
why
like
wasn't-
that's
yeah,
such
yeah.
a stupid like. I'm helping in the shadows. Like,
Yeah.
come on, like no, like. If you want to make your show matter, if you want to really build this sale of like everything in the MCU really matters and obviously they've come away from that so quickly. Like Defenders, it was like every now and then there was a poster that was like, in case of alien attack, call this number, and like that was as much commentary and connection to the MCU as you were going to get. But I hope they go out big, and like I think Chloe Bennett, that's her name, plays Daisy. I think she's a movie star. I think at this point, like the talents on that show are ready to do much bigger, much better things. I think they've really deserved it. So
Ming-Na Wen should take
Ming-Na Wen.
Scarlett Johansson's place.
Did you watch?
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
watch all the way through?
I'm not completely caught up,
Yeah.
but I've watched most of it. I watched through the bigger spoilers.
Yeah.
Because nothing until, except for Jarvis's tiny cameo in Endgame, we've never seen a character from introduced on TV make it to the movies.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, man, Captain Marvel, if you'd had young, Agent May, like it would have fit
Yeah.
perfectly.
I think it would have fit, yeah.
that would have been like a nice way to do it. But I should explain when I said the split when Marvel Studios stopped being part of Marvel proper and started reporting straight up to Disney, and then
Yeah.
that really obviously stopped any connections from happening.
Yeah.
I think it's a weird relic of a post-Avengers world where you could tell they were maybe toying with the idea that Joss Whedon was going to be the overseer, because Jed Whedon was involved. That maybe okay, we've got this one overarching vision that's gonna, no pun intended, that's gonna like do the whole universe, and then I think they found out that like this is actually better if we kind of split it out singularly.
Well, I don't
and
think Feige ever wanted that.
I don't know if he did, but I feel like the idea of like, okay, we got Whedon's on board, we got Joss doing Avengers, we got then we got they're doing the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, and then we can all tie it all together, and it's going to be like a machine.
because
and
when
then-
Agents was coming out, rolling out, they were like from Joss Whedon's.
Yeah.
And remember
From
when-
Joss Whedon's brother and sister-in-law.
Right.
And
Yeah.
remember when he signed his huge deal after the first Avengers, it was like a big deal that it's like he signed to do the sequel and he's going to do a TV show, and it did feel at that point that they were like,
Right.
but and then of course he famously got burnt out on Age of Ultron, but so who knows? Like there is an alternate reality where he did sort of not only stick around, but is much more like involved in mapping
Yeah,
it
this
all
idea
out.
that Whedon would kind of be
From
this
the
through
neighbor
line
stuff.
that would follow it all
Yeah.
the way, and then it just kind of diverged, and then the movies diverged, and then the Russos and Marcus and McFeely and everything, then they kind of went that
corporately
way.
they
Yeah,
diverged,
it's just interesting to see how maybe they're setting these building blocks up for things, and then they don't work out, and it just ripples and ripples.
But I'm hoping that like I think there are much bigger and better and cooler things. I think for that whole cast, they all are incredibly talented people, and I'm really hoping that they find their Zach Levi moments where it's like, yeah, I'm going to walk away from my featured extra gig in Thor, and now I'm going to be Shazam.
They're all going to become DC heroes.
Yeah, I think they're all. Yeah. Or I don't, like
That'd be
when the Dark Horse universe launches. I hope I hope-
Netflix.
yeah, on
Are
Netflix.
they-
I hope Chloe Bennett's like right at the front of the line.
They're going to do Legion of Superheroes, and it's all the Agents of
Yes.
S.H.I.E.L.D. cast.
It'll be interesting to see how those relationships evolve now, though, because these are really notable characters from the event. These are the Avengers that are going to be in these television shows on Disney Plus. So you have to imagine obviously they're doing timelines, time splits, probably dimension splits, things like that, where they have a little more leeway and liberty not to connect. But I wonder how involved Feige would want to be then, even just to make sure, like, you're not doing anything crazy, right?
It's also interesting. I am curious about the future of Coulson because, first of all the actors on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. obviously have played their characters more than anyone in the MCU movies, which is a funny thing to think about. But Coulson especially, right? It's like Coulson has been around since Iron Man 1. One of the ways that they never acknowledge in the movies is like apparently the Avengers never found out that Coulson was alive, which of course after a certain while is ridiculous, especially on the show because it's not like he's really secret, going around. But it was an interesting thing when they brought Coulson back for Captain Marvel. Like they brought him back in the MCU, yes, in a movie set in the past, but it was like there he was again. So I do wonder, will we ever see Coulson again? It will be kind of weird if they really, really, really say goodbye to that character. But of course, the way the MCU works, they could keep showing us scenes set in the past. And he should pop
Danielle,
up.
what were you saying?
You have thoughts on
I have thoughts, but my thoughts are spoilers.
Well, we're about to wrap up anyway, so how about this? I will say that we have a panel here. If you are in San Diego, you should come see our panel. It's tomorrow night, Friday night, really late, from 8:30 to 10 p.m. in
Sell it,
room
Roth.
6A. But it's going to be amazing because we're going to show you a never-before-seen Honors trailer. We have stuff to show you that you will never have seen and probably will never see again in that room, like Joe Starr and I deciding on who's better.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I was like, No, they'll see the things. That's why we're going to show them previews
Well,
of the things.
yeah, the things they'll eventually see,
Yeah.
but they won't have seen them yet. And they're very exciting things. There'll be fun things in there that you won't see at least for 6 months.
Yeah.
And also, we're going to fight it out.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to decide once and for all the burning question that you've all been asking yourself about entertainment. If there's been a versus in entertainment, this has been the versus.
two names.
These are the two names. This is it. You've been debating it online for years.
If nothing
we're going to
else-
solve it in the room. Me and him, mano y Joe. And
If nothing else, come watch Roth set me on fire.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
live
just what's going to
audience.
happen.
You're
in
not
that
going to get into
room.
Hall H anyway.
Yeah.
Give up and come with us.
Let us be
Give
your
up.
second choice.
Settle. Come to Screen Junkies and settle.
We
Come
are your fallback
on.
option.
We are the best thing that you're going to do when you realize you're not going to get into that line anyway. Come see us in the
We're
panel.
your agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you know what?
They are Feige's side piece.
No,
Exactly.
You know who we are? We are, if Hall H is like the big jock Chad, that you realize that you had love next to you all along and it has been dependent and it has been us at Screen Junkies.
Yeah.
Right.
We are the incel of the Comic-Con.
We're a less creepy ducky.
A less creepy duck.
I'm just going to keep nodding and smiling because all of these things are true and more. It's going to be a lot of fun. Get a friend to get you a wristband. Come see our panel. We are going to have a ton of fun. That's a really good
That's
friend.
a really good friend.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a great friend. You have a great friend, and that's good news. We have a great friend in you. So we'll see you at the panel because there's going to be fun stuff to do there. And now that we are done wrapping it up, we're going to be here at Comic-Con for the next few days doing Comic-Con stuff. If there's news, we'll talk about it. Like Batman's got to do something. I know Warner Brothers not here, but you know Batman's doing something this weekend, and we're here to talk about it. Danielle Radford, now feel free to do spoilers. She's going to do spoilers, and then we're just going to wrap up the camera.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Are you talking about? I think I know what you're talking about. Just recent S.H.I.E.L.D. events.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Things-
Does anybody care?
Yeah.
Does anybody
Because
care?
you're not.
just said I'm a season and a half.
Yeah, so we're not gonna.
We
That's
won't talk. I know what
It's a
she's
year
talking
old,
about. We'll just say
whatever.
catch up, but then anything's possible. And
All right, screw it. Bye.
Stuck that landing.
Yeah.